We're basically just going to go through sort of how phonics is taught, what read writing is, and sort of the terminology and stuff that we use, and things that you might see sort of coming home and things like that. So teach a child to read and keep that child reading, and that will change everything. And I mean everything. So reading is the fundamental part sort of the child during their school, and once they can read, they will succeed at everything. It really helps sort of that ground basis for them to continue learning. So read writing is run from EY1 all the way up to grade 2. It's consistent all the way through, so it makes it easier sort of when they're transitioning from different year groups that it's the same sort of process and stuff. Read writing is very, very structured, which helps sort of that consistency throughout each year group. And it's taught on their base, it's taught on them, so they are assessed every 6 weeks, and then their learning is then tailored to where they are. So it's not done whole class, where you might have sort of children that are still sort of learning their initial sounds, or then you might have children that sort of can read sort of higher books and things like that. So it's done based on that child's needs, so that they are getting their tailored phonics that they need. So how does it work? So we have speed sounds, which are these. Sort of at this point, sort of in EY2, we're starting to look at sort of, we call them special friends. They're 2 letters, they make 1 sound. So we have those. With that, we then have what we call green words. These green words then relate to the sound that they've learned that day. So if they've learned the nk sound, they'll have words like think, stink, pink, and they're all phonetically plausible words that they can decode, like as you can see there. And then they will also then have a book to correlate with the group that they are in. So they'll have a speed sound session, and then they'll have a reading session in it, which sort of recaps and revises. We have a few more seats. How many seats do we have? 3 more for this one? Yeah. I think so too. There's one here. You go through the other door. There's much space. Oh. Yeah. Wow. Down. Is that enough for everyone? Yeah, that one. And then we have one more here. One more seat here as well, yeah. We want to all move up. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Just need one more.
I'm the phonics lead for early years, and this is Louise as well. She is the phonics lead for primary. I was just explaining sort of how we teach phonics. I was just saying that phonics is assessed every 6 weeks to tailor phonics to each child. We start with a speed sound lesson, which introduces a new sound. They have green words that go with it. And then they have a story as well that's linked to it. We also have what we call our red words, tricky words. These are words that you cannot sound out. They're not phonetically plausible. Unfortunately, they just have to learn them. There's no trick to it, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. I've got to say, if you've got any questions at any point, just shout them at me, because there's not many of us. And then we also have storybooks that's done through Storytime. These are obviously read by adults, by the teacher, just to enrich their vocabulary and things like that. So we like to keep up, not catch up. We think it's really important that we catch those children early, so the gap is not getting wider and wider. The benefits with Read Write Inc, because it is a rolling sort of assessment, we are keeping on top of those children all the time. So once we sort of start seeing them sort of dip a little bit, then we can get onto that one-to-one tutoring, sort of to keeping them up so they're not falling behind. So, phonics, we've got the sounds. The sounds are, let me just read this so I don't get this wrong. So the sounds, these are merged together to make a word. So mat, and the sounds in mat are at, or you have shop, sh, op. And then you have the graphemes, and the grapheme is another name of the letter that we use to write the sound. So in phonics, we teach the sound of the word. We do not teach the name, and it's really important that sort of if you're doing anything at home, sort of with reading and stuff, that it is the sound of the letter, not the name, not A is A, that sort of thing. So the lovely English language. There are 44 sounds, but only 26 letters. So we have over 150 graphemes, so we can have 2 letters that make a sound, we can have 3 letters that make a sound, we can have 1 letter that makes 2 or 3 different sounds. So it makes it one of the most complex languages to learn, which why it can be quite tricky sort of for the little ones to pick up on when they're spelling and things like that. It can be quite hard. So when we're teaching phonics, it's done in a specific order. It's not taught like how children learn the ABC. We teach MAST first, because these 4 sounds then help to sort of build words, simple CVC words as we go through. At this point, children will start to be learning sort of set 3 as we go into E1-2, and these set 3 ones are sort of these special friends here. And like the split file diagraphs sort of start to come in at this point. This PowerPoint will go out this afternoon as well. So when we're teaching, we use our friend called Fred. I'm sure they've spoken about Fred coming home. Now Fred only talks in sounding out, so he will only Fred talks, so he will only tell me at. He never says the word. And they all know that with Fred, everyone has a Fred. So this really helps children sort of to start that oral blending, because that's quite some children find it tricky. They will be able to read that out at, but then will say man. So it's really important that children are picking up that oral blending sort of from an early age. And it's really easy, you can do it sort of anywhere at home, playing games. We use it in the classroom quite a lot as well. So how Fred works, he will say the word in Fred talk, like at. The child will then repeat it, at, and hopefully they will hear the word and they will jump in with the word cat. They will say the word and say the sounds and then say the word, and then if you can get them to repeat it, we get them to repeat it again, just sort of to consolidate that with them. So they do enjoy sort of the Fred talking. I think it's quite funny. Fred normally is around in the classroom all day. So we play sort of these sort of games, sort of when we're getting ready for home time, getting our lunch, going out to break. Can you get your at? Can they hear that? Can they hear that it's a hat? And again, these are things that can be done at home, getting ready for bed, getting up in the morning, dinner time, anything like that. It's all sort of things that can be done sort of on the way home from school, on the way to school, things like that. So when we use Fred Talk, we also use something called Fred Fingers. Now the Fred Fingers is a way to support children sort of to spelling out the word. So if we said, can you sound out mat? You would say, how many sounds are in mat? Show me on your Fred Fingers. T, mat. And it's really important to get them to squeeze those fingers for each sound, because that really helps them to identify where each sound goes, the beginning, the middle and the end. And again, you can do it with longer words, sort of like play, A. And again, that A sound, even though it's 2 letters, it only makes 1 sound. So there's only 3 sounds in play. But obviously there's 4 letters, so once they start to know those special friends, they know that they go together. And yeah, just making them so if they're stuck, if they've written but they've forgotten what that middle sound is, just get them to sound it out again using those Fred fingers. They've told you at the beginning, they'll know what that middle sound is. So the 3 things that we sort of really work on in school is accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. And the one thing that we ask for you guys at home is to read and enjoy. Reading at home makes such a difference with the children. And we can really tell those children who do read at home and those children who don't read at home. So we'll focus on all this bit, and if they can just enjoy picking up a book, that makes such a difference for us as well. So when your child comes home, they will come home with 2 in EY2 of these books, and these correlate directly to their phonics assessments. So the reason why we suggest to read the book 3 times is the first time is for accuracy, just to get to know the words in the books, and get to sort of have a look at the pictures, sort of it's a bit of fun. The second time is to pick up that fluency. So they should know what's going to happen in the story now. The second time is for fluency. And then the third time is to work on the comprehension. So at the back of the books, there are questions. There's can they retell the story already? A lot of children struggle with that. So there's some nice pictures there, sort of, can they retell it? And then there's also questions, and it tells you what page you can find the answer on for those questions as well. So they're really, really helpful. So that's why we suggest that 3 times is an important amount to sort of read each story. And then they'll also come home with the library book. And again, this library book, it's for the adult to read, it's to be shared with an adult, it's for them to enjoy and for them to listen.
Can I just ask,
Yes.
why is it 2 books each? I know it's just to encourage more reading.
It's just to encourage more because you have it for a week.
Yeah.
I think it does work out about 7 days once you have it from sort of Monday to Monday or whatever it is. So it's just so you don't get bored. Some children might read them quicker, but if they haven't read it, we do tend to leave it in there. If you've only read 1 3 times, then we can leave one and take out the other. So that's just the reason why, really, because some schools that I've worked in, they get asked to bring their library, their book bag books in every day, and I think it's just sort of to cut down on you guys have enough to bring in every day as it is. Never mind to remember that every time. So that's that reason.
Can I just also
Yeah.
check? I get into trouble a lot because of Fred at home.
Yeah.
I want to do Fred talk, Mama, Fred talk. So at what stage should they be blending words and being able to just say it?
So they should progress onto Fred in your head. So that's another terminology we use. So once they are confident with all the sounds, if you think your child is confident enough, suggest for them to Fred in their head, and they're doing exactly the same thing, but they're just not saying it out loud. So they're just doing Matt and doing it like that. So if that's something that they're ready for, then maybe suggest
So that's not a bad thing, because sometimes when my children are reading, I sometimes think they're guessing the word, but maybe it's not guessing.
They might be
they're doing
Fredding it in their head. Yeah. So they might be doing that.
Encourage.
Yeah, absolutely, because sort of as they progress, they need to do that. They need to stop sort of Fred talking out loud. Because obviously we don't
Also
talk like that. We don't read like that.
Sometimes they are just watching the picture.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes they're guessing. Yes, that is very common as well, and not actually reading what's on the page. That is very common as well. But sort of hopefully now they will start really sort of reading those words and getting a good understanding of.
The other thing I'm noticing is that, I didn't notice that in my eldest, but he's actually writing in phonics better than he was reading. So, he writes phonetically. Yesterday he wrote blood, and there was you there, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Don't ask me why he wrote blood. Probably, But that was really interesting for me to
That he knows the sound, so he's using that phonics knowledge, but not necessarily applying it to the reading side, which again is quite normal. Sometimes they see them as 2 separate things. That's why it's really, when we do phonics with this scheme, because you have the speed sound lesson and then you have the reading, it's connecting it all together and giving that link to the children, so they're not just thinking, oh, I do that in phonics, so that doesn't link to anything else, because they also do writing in phonics, so they hold a sentence and then they write words with the sound that they've learnt that day. So it's just really trying to sort of intertwine it all together, so they don't think that phonics is just phonics, That doesn't matter for maths, that doesn't matter for science, that doesn't matter for literacy. It's just making them make that connection. There's some links here and some videos. I will send this all out this afternoon, so don't worry about that. So things that you guys can do at home, use pure sounds. It's really important that we're using those pure sounds. Like p is one, it's not p, and b is not ba, and t is not ta. It's really important that we are using those pure sounds, and again, not letter names. Using Fred Talk to read the word and spell the word. Speak like Fred throughout the day. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but you do get used to it. And again, playing Fred games, sort of like playing I Spy, can you see a hat, something like that. And just listening to your child read every day is so important. Just having that exposure to seeing the words in different sort of ways, and listening to it as well. And then reading sort of their library books that they come home with. Again, these are some more resources that I will send out this afternoon as well. Does anybody else have any other questions?
How many colors? For example, my song is now in the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
How many colors? Or
It's terrible for testing me now. So they start in set 1A, and it goes all the way up to grey. So yellow is, Miss Louise, can you help me?
Yellow, then they need
Yellow,
to do...
yellow, blue, grey,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pink, orange, yellow, blue, grey. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then spelling.
and then
Yeah.
But we don't go on to spelling. They'll go on to spelling in primary. We just focus more on the comprehension and just getting that in. Yeah. So there's
How many
10
there are?
10 colours?
Is it 10
Yeah.
colours?
Or
Yeah.
10 groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the colors?
Red. So each.
Like, what is colors?
So each book is a different colour, and that's sort of their band that they're in.